The American University. It all started long, long ago in 1676 when some pilgrim guy with a deep love for keg stands and freshman hotties created Harvard University, named after himself, John Harvard University. Well, anyway, Mr. University saw past building libraries or classrooms for this new school, for he had a much greater dream. That dream being a 75,000-seat football stadium equipped with skybox seats and a jumbotron as the first installment to America's first institution of higher learning. Now, when questioned as to why anyone would need a jumbotron in the 17th century, Mr. University gave his most famous reply. Duke haveth a jumbotron, and we shall not be outdone by the Blue Devil lith. And the rest, as they say, was history. Or lies if you want to get technical about it. But the point still remains. It is very difficult to imagine a collegiate world devoid of sports. In fact, the September 25th, 2002 issue of the Los Angeles Times tells us an extraterrestrial visiting any college campus in the U.S. would conclude that they are athlete factories. Mr. Times has a valid point here. College sports have gradually become more important to higher education than, well, education. In fact, the February 15th, 2002 issue of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette tells us, while universities feel athletic programs create image or prestige, they do more to harm the university than help. So today, we will discuss the harms college sports programs have had on American universities, why this lack of focus has taken place, and finally, how the American university promised land can pretty much be given back to the nerds. So don't be fooled by the problems that I've got, because I'm still Caleb from the block. But in discussing our problems, we find that they fall into two areas. First, the student obsession with sports programs over pretty much anything else, and the depletion of academic funds for athletic purposes. Now, our first problem area was made evident in the comparison of two events that took place last fall. According to the November 30th, 2002 issue of the Washington Post, several thousand students in Iran rioted in protest in their nation's streets because their government had sentenced to death a history lecturer who spoke out on limitations of academic freedom. Iran, the country would better be named you should have ran away. Well, anyway, in good old US of A, according to the same issue of the same Washington Post, several thousand American students rioted in protest in the streets of their universities, at the University of Berkeley at California, University of North Carolina, and Washington State University, throwing bottles, burning cars, and burning furniture because their sports teams lost. Social and political unrest in Iran? Who cares? Because there are goalposts to be torn down, and sofas to be burned, and breasts to be unveiled. But then there's the harms on the student athletes themselves. According to Professor Harry Edwards, a sociologist at the University of California at Berkeley, the average college athlete spends from 50 to 60 hours per week on their sport, leaving them little time to be actively involved in their education. But an even broader harm is seen in the depletion of academic funds for athletic purposes. Take, for instance, the University of Missouri at Kansas City, who, according to a September 15th, 2002 issue of the Kansas City Star, paid $5,672 to have the Laker girls cheer at one men's basketball game. This all the while the basketball program was running a $400,000 deficit, and the university math department lacked faculty for high-demand math courses. It seems that the university dean misunderstood the concept of increasing the university's endowment. But then there's the University of Iowa, who, according to a September 26, 2002 Associated Press release, diverted $2.5 million in academic funds to the football fund to give football coach Kirk Ferentz a raise from $584,000 a year to $910,000 a year, making him their highest paid university employee. Of course, next to Frank, the student union desk clerk who peddles cheap seats to 7'5" basketball playing communication majors that don't speak a word of English. So with harms more obvious than a black man's fate in a horror movie, or a forensic tournament, or an IE representative election? Ooh, you're probably wondering why college sports programs continue to grow. Well, the answer is found in the acceptance of 3 widespread myths of college sports. Myth number 1, which you're probably writing on your ballot right now. Caleb, a big-time college sports program allows a university to gain lots of profit that they can use to buy wonderful things like books and classrooms and grades. Not true. According to Murray Spurba in his book, College Sports Incorporated, of the 933 member schools of the NCAA, only 10 to 20 make a consistent, albeit small profit or break even every year. I mean, that's a success ratio only the airline industry could be proud of. In fact, the average NCAA school loses $700,000 a year to their sports program. I mean, with $700,000, the university could get the Laker girls to... Myth number 2. A big-time college sports program allows a university to gain valuable national exposure that it wouldn't gain otherwise, which might also increase admissions to the university. Not true. This comes from the inability to distinguish exposure from earned prestige. Take, for example, the O.J. Simpson trial, not guilty, just as many of those whose name recognition increased as a result of the trial, not guilty, are not seen as individuals of deserved reputation. The national exposure a university receives from athletic success is in no way attributable to the academic excellence of a university, not guilty. Besides, does a university really benefit from students who come there because the sports team wins a lot? All right, so the next time you find yourself on Friday night bashing in store windows with thousands of your other fellow students after your team loses the football game, stop. Take a look around and realize they all came here for the sports, like you did, and then proceed. Myth number 3, a big-time college sports program creates a vital opportunity to integrate underrepresented minorities into higher education. William Bowen and James Schulman, in their book, The Game of Life, complain a lot about how the spinner gets stuck. But then go on to argue that on average, student athletes come to school with poor academic records and do even worse once on campus. In fact, some critics equate college sports programs to a modern form of slavery. When questioned about this, one prominent university president responded, "Slavery? That's ridiculous. Slavery is when people are forced to work for no pay at all and all the benefits go to the people in charge." Hold on, I think I left my Jaguar running downstairs. I gotta go. So now that we've seen the 3 myths that lead to the demise of learning and achievement and the rise of burning and bereavement, thank you, Jesse Jackson, we can take a look at some workable solutions. First, join your university forensic team, because that will ensure you won't be home on the weekends to support your university sports teams. Or to get laid. But on those rare weekends that you don't go to forensic tournaments, go to the games and wear shirts that say NUC FCAA or I came here to study, and really study. No, but really, the best solutions are found in making sure that your voice is heard. Go back to your university campus, research budget expenditures, attend your university's board meetings and speak up. Find out how many athletic decisions are being made in expense of your academic programs like forensics. And the next time you find yourself setting a couch on fire, stop and give it to somebody who needs a couch. And if any of you are student athletes, if any of you know any student athletes, encourage some talk about the balance between extracurricular activities and academic pursuits. And this advice is not only for the sports arena. We can take it ourselves. Think about how many times you skipped a class to memorize a speech, or stolen from the library to make BAs, or turned in your persuasion as your English midterm. Mr. Telfer, while I understand black toxic mold is a devastating problem, I don't see how it applies to 17th century literature. But nice suit. Whoever the founder of Harvard University was, he or she would probably be shocked by today's modern universities, their big money sports programs, their lack of academic focus, and scurvy-free classrooms. And you should be shocked too. Of course, it would be easier for me to shock you if this room was carpeted. But after sports stadiums, training rooms, and coaching staffs, that's another indemnity universities are unable to afford. Look, college sports programs provide enjoyable entertainment for many, but that's really all they are, is entertainment. Maybe once we're able to restore this sense of perspective back to our higher education system, when the extraterrestrials come to our college campuses, they will pause and say, these are knowledge factories, not athlete factories. Of course, before laying all to waste and assuming their rightful position as our overlords. Because any country that puts football over physics isn't fit to govern itself.